Before we get into all that, since I don't see our deputy here tonight, I'm going to lead us in prayer, then we'll have a prayer to pray. Let's pray. Dear Lord, thank you for the blessing of the day. Give us the strength, courage, and wisdom to make the right decision. That's the end of the Lord. Amen. Jason, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. It's time for citizens' comments. Everybody knows the rules. Who wants to come up first?
No, I got to say something. Robert Grizzle, 640 Airmore Way. Just to reiterate, it'd really be nice to have a stop bar out on Belton Bridge Road. It's probably traveled as much as, if not more, than Athens Street. And there's a lot of people coming on the wrong side of the road. And I think that would help them some if they put a stop bar out there. And also, y'all need to get the city.
At the expressway?
What's that?
You talking about at the expressway or?
No, at at Belton Bridge Road and Main Street.
Okay.
Because everybody comes in on the wrong side of the road. You probably had it happen to you. I know. I had somebody come in the other day completely on the wrong side of the road, but there's no stop bar. So
You're talking about like the painted line?
yeah, the painted line
Okay.
stop bar. And another thing, y'all might want to pay attention. There's a big old pine tree there. The one probably over there in Arlene's yard, dropping some big old limbs. And with the snow didn't help any, so really needs, and it is on the right of way. Probably needs to have something done about that thing. I think they all need to be cut down, but that one. You see which one I'm talking about? The dead one.
There's some there part too.
Yeah, there's a big one over there, and it's dropped a branch the other day across the road about that big around.
What intersection is that? Or what road?
Right there on Belton. It's on the right-hand side going down toward Narramore. There's a row of pine trees there. And, the power company cuts the right side off of them so that, it's got all the weight on the left-hand side toward the road. But there's one of them, or two of them dead. One big one dead, and it's dropping big branches across the road now. That kind that can hurt you when they fall and hit you.
Still on city property?
Yep.
That's, on that side of the road, county right away.
Yeah. It's right on the right of way. On the right of way. Too bad it's on you guys.
Thank you.
It's on the city right away or the county?
Whose house is that, Robert? Is it Miss Eileen's?
Yeah, it's Eileen's. Yeah, because her property goes way down there and triangles back.
She is in the city, okay.
Yeah.
It is, I was thinking further out. I think it was big is what I think about.
Yeah.
Because she does something out here too. Anybody else? Well, there'll be an opportunity in the meeting. Something else to say. Okay, we've got some changes to the agenda, so we're not going to approve it as written. We're going to move the appointments back to after the executive session down to the bottom. And I think Tony wanted to add one more
I
thing.
wanted to add an item for our audio resources for our council meetings. Just a brief discussion on our audio resources. I don't know where you want to put that in.
Let's finish the approval first. How about that?
Oh, yeah, I just didn't know where.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Anything else want to change on the agenda? All right, Tony, let's go and discuss yours now.
Okay, sure. Just wanted to bring up as a topic for all of council, just a request. We've had some requests for audio solutions to be able to make sure that the audience here can hear everyone, and then also anyone online as well. And it had been brought to my attention, I know some other council members, I know Garnett's been contacted as well. We're just trying to get a microphone. We know we have the microphone here at the podium, and then I know we've got one microphone also that floats, and Frank has that as well. And so we've got a request for perhaps maybe a lapel-worn microphone that can be clipped, like for Frank, so that we can have that other microphone available if we need it. And then also it'll be positioned in a way that we can all hear Frank as well. So that's just a request that we've received, and I know that the manufacturer that we have these microphones with, oftentimes, and I haven't researched exactly which unit that we have in our rack back there, but usually the Shure brand has an option to put a lapel or belt pack, which is very similar to what we have over at the depot. But if we were able to approve a purchase, or at least, have council have a direction to Frank to purchase a lapel mic for that unit, that perhaps would go a long way in making sure that we're all able to hear everyone as part of these meetings.
So Frank, did you get a price on that? I'm sure it's not gonna break the bank, but
Yeah,
we need to know anyway.
I have some common resources, that we could look into to purchase those from, that are nationwide retailers on that. You're certainly looking at something that's less than $1,000. I don't know that it's how much it is, but it wouldn't be. It could be anywhere from $100 to $1,000. I don't know. I don't think it would be $1,000, because that would be an entire unit, and we don't need that. We just need a microphone. But I don't know what the pricing is on that here recently in the last few years. But it's usually somewhere in the magnitude of a couple hundred. I would assume probably a couple $100 to $400. But it would be a belt pack with a lapel mic that can be worn, similar to the one that we have over at the depot. So just wanted to share that with everyone, and if council agrees, we could give direction to Frank to investigate the price on that, and then he can just approve a purchase of it, depending on the amount. So
I think that's a great idea. We need it, because I'm hearing a lot of people says they can't hear
Is it online or in
in here. They can't understand Frank in the back.
I've gotten reports that not only can't they hear in here, but also online.
That's,
So,
okay.
Matter of fact, some people told me that's the reason they quit coming, strictly because of that. So we need to take care of that problem.
Hopefully this will resolve that.
when I first got elected, first started sitting in this seat, everybody complained to me about it. So what I did, I went out and bought the little, y'all all seen, I had a little speaker back there, and I had the microphone up here and it bounced off.
Yep.
But it threw reverb into the
Yeah.
system. So that was the drawback to that. So
Yeah.
that's our experience there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Everybody's got a copy of the minutes from the December meeting. Y'all look those over and see if there's any changes. We'll approve those next week, or if not, at your discretion. Okay. Yard of the month. This regular yard of the month this month. Y'all find, don't count the snow now, unless it's a real pretty snowman in the yard. But by the end of next week, by the end of this week, it should be gone. So when we're about snowing. All right, Frank, how much money we got?
Well, you got the revenue and expenditures report. So take a look at that. We're gonna have to do a mid-year adjustment, but I'll try to have that done for the February meeting. So we can do that. But in the bank checking account as of today, the deposit account is $103,000. Water tap fee is $179,000. Sewer tap fees is $2.2 million, but that's $1 million of that is owed back to the SPLOST account. The SPLOST account has not $1,927,000. Escrow account has $104,000. Banks County SPLOST 2017 has $162,000. T-SPLOST has $303,000. Your general fund has 1.5 million, and your water fund has 347,000. And then the CARES ARPA fund still has just over $2 million in it, but we've obligated those at the last meeting. Any other questions?
Okay, we're gonna do the appointments after the executive session tonight. So the committee assignments, I had intended to leave the committee assignments alone since I've already changed them 4 times since I've been elected. But, I've heard some complaints tonight, so I may look at those again and, get a new list up for next week. But, I hadn't planned on changing those. No. Unless somebody wants to get off of one, I think Barney said he wanted to get off all of them. So would you just?
I didn't say I want to be off all of them, I said I have not been on no meeting for the whole past year.
Okay.
And I look and I see everybody else has. So what's the problem?
Well,
What's the problem?
Planning and Zoning Committee will meet some this year, I'm sure.
They didn't last year.
I'm surprised at that.
I was not asked. That's plain.
Now, Parks and Festival, okay, and,
Wasn't asked.
and the Cemetery Committee, okay.
Wasn't asked.
What would you like to be on, Bernie?
I don't care, just so divide it up.
Yeah, I have got it, it's divided 4, 4, 4, 4, and 3. I can't divide it any more even than that. Unless I give you 4 and get somebody else 3, is that what you want to do? Do you want one more and take somebody else?
Do what now?
I've got divided. Every council member has got 4 committees,
Right,
except you got 3.
yeah.
Now, you want me to give you 4 and give somebody else 3, is that what you want to do?
Oh, I don't care about that, I'd just like to be asked sometime during the year. I look and see, Tony, Denise, Tony, Denise, Tony, Denise,
Julie,
Julie, and him,
past years when he's.
but Garnet has never been asked.
Planning and zoning met July 10th, so I don't know what else we got.
Was not a meeting. Now, he ain't skipped no meeting.
When'd you come, that list?
Just look it over and do what's fair.
That list was made in June, so. I'll look at it. Okay. All right, we're down to item number 6, the de-annexation request, and, Joey, you wish to
I'll try.
Is it gonna be like a public hearing, or want to let them speak to us?
Are our folks here?
Yeah, they're here.
Hey there, how are y'all? Mayor, there's just a couple of things as a procedural matter. As council knows, with de-annexation requests, there's generally an application that is submitted to either the city or the county, depending upon which method the applicant seeks to follow. It appears, based upon the fact that the matter was submitted to the county, that it would now be up to the city to address the matter. And yes, we would have at least some notice. But the resolution from Banks County uses the previous method, not the most recent method that essentially requires that the city have a public safety reason for denying the request. Under the OCGA section 3622 that's in your packet, this is the a method that was followed exclusively until 2023, when the Georgia legislature amended it. And under this procedure, there is, we can treat what's been submitted to the city as the request, but this gives the city exclusive discretion as to whether you would approve it. The newer method, which is what I think the applicant intended, the request would have to be approved by council unless you find a public safety or public health reason to deny the request. So I don't want to get tied down into those procedures unnecessarily. but at the same time, annexation and de-annexation requires notice via certified mail, as well as information about what the property is zoned, that sort of thing, that we've not received, that the city's not received. So if council still wants to move forward with this, recognizing those circumstances, then you can place it on your agenda for next week. But if we followed the specific procedures, frankly, we'd already be out of time, because this was approved December 10th, and we have 30 days to respond, but we didn't receive the notice called for under the statutes. So I leave it back to council how you want us to handle that.
Okay. Anybody got any ideas on how to best handle this?
And I want to make sure that our citizens know this is not necessarily a criticism, it's just Georgia law requires procedures to be followed in order to annex or de-annex property. And the city is required to notify the state so that your voting precincts are updated and just whether you're in the city or the county, all that information is updated. So the city's going to be held to task about whether the appropriate procedures were followed or that we address that issue and waive those requirements. So that's all I'm trying to inform council.
So, I thought they had already made the request. I thought they had already done all the paperwork that they needed to do.
Now, this is all we've received from the county.
So what, there's there's forms that they need to fill on their end, or the county didn't fill?
It's both.
Both?
It's really,
Can we actually do it without? Well, we can't use their application to the county.
we could, it would just, our position would be, it didn't trigger the notice requirements called for under the statute, so we could accept what's been presented here, and start that process. Under this procedure, under what they've referenced in this resolution, which is the second page in the packet that Frank's given you, the third whereas clause says OCGA section 363622. Customarily, what will happen is if they want to follow that procedure, they generally would come to the city to say, we're going to ask for a de-annexation because you cannot proceed with the de-annexation unless the county says they would accept the property in. And then it would come back to the city, but the city, for any reason or for no reason, could deny the request. But we should still receive some formality of notice from the county via certified mail, which we didn't receive. Again, I believe that what the applicant, what the county intended was to follow the newer statute, which is OCGA 3636-131. That was adopted in 2023, which provides for the applicant to submit this to the county and then the county to notify the city, because the city would have a duty in order to deny the request to state the public safety reason. I think y'all will remember some of the de-annexation requests associated with Railroad Avenue. That was the process we went through. And if we're going to do that, then we should have a public hearing so information could be brought to you about whether this de-annexation would pose any public safety issue. From the report that we've received from staff, this doesn't fall into that category, but we just don't have the necessary notices to make that decision at this time.
Yeah. And if we were to waive what was intended, that would or would not be precedent setting. That could be used as an argument against something else in the future that may try to proceed with the same request under the same OCGA 363622. I just wondered if it would be precedent setting if we were to waive that.
I can't answer that, I don't know that I've ever seen that before, because annexations and de-annexations have always been so procedurally driven, so I've not seen, there's cases where the specific procedure was not followed. In other words, the mail didn't come in certified mail, something like that, that have not been allowed, but,
Is this something that we could request of the chairman, Charles Turk of Banks County, that they utilize the new process form?
yes.
Since it really is just a clerical error on the wrong form, and the correct form would solve that, and we wouldn't get into a potential jeopardy. I know that no statement was given from council here as to whether something was precedent setting or not, but just a simple, different form
Yes.
would alleviate that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And again, also, as council, just recognizing, the staff, recommendation that there's no safety. I mean, we could, just make a statement here that we do acknowledge that staff has, given us that information. And I don't foresee us having any issue with it. It really just is a clerical issue where we would want to make sure that we have the proper form. Fair enough, council?
I'll notify, Mr. Frost represents Banks County, so I'll ask Mr. Frost if they would have any objection to resubmitting the county's resolution under the new statute.
This week.
And then see if if that's something council be ready to take up at that time.
And the notification requirement at that point would be public hearing?
I would recommend that you have a public hearing so that it can be provided to you from staff that there is no public safety issue with the request.
Excellent. Yeah, I would.
Can we put that on the agenda for next Monday night then?
Well, I'd have to advertise for the
Oh,
public
I
hearing,
see.
so it'll be
Yeah.
over to the February meeting.
Okay.
And then we do need to get the form corrected, and I know Banks County doesn't have a meeting until later this month, so I think we can get that corrected. And I'll go ahead and run the ad.
They also have a new chairman stepping in.
You anticipate that being?
His
an
name's
issue?
not Charles Turk either, right? Go, you know, camera off the guy.
But do you anticipate that being an issue?
I mean, he was at the meeting that we live next door to each other. And we got de-annexed
Right.
in April. And so they went and did the same protocol that we did.
Right.
You lost Daniel between.
I'm not sure exactly what paper was misdone, but
It's one code section is all I'm telling you. And we did correct it when the one came through in April. I have it here
yeah.
to make sure it was under that new code section.
So
But
we're
I'll-
just here for moral support.
Yeah, I think it's just a formality.
Yeah.
I can't speak for all the council, but I think the consensus probably be,
I think Joey's got his marker, we'll go ahead and publish the notice for public hearing for next month.
Okay. And I'll notify Mr. Frost that's what we're doing and
Right.
ask for to follow up.
Quote the code to him, Jackie it does. I'm sure he knows it.
thank you, Joey.
Yes, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Just so y'all know, we're gonna advertise it. It'll be a public hearing in February. If you give me just a second, I'll tell you when our meeting is in February. It'll be the 17th.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. We'll have elections this year for the mayor and council districts 2 and 3. Election, the first Tuesday in November, whatever day that is, right?
November 4th,
And normally qualifies 90 days before that or something.
be in August.
In August.
So we'll-
August 18th. Is that what it is, Tangy?
I think so. Let's put
Yeah, that's on Monday, yeah.
May,
18, 19, 20.
August. I think it would be 18th, 19th, and 20th. We only want to hold 3 days.
So we have to decide what qualifying fees we're gonna set up.
It's 3% of the pay.
We have
Oh,
done,
no, it's,
yeah, what we've
Okay.
done in the past was $100 for council members and $150 for mayor. Because when, just somewhat of the discussion y'all had based upon the number of meetings is how we calculated it, and that's how those numbers were achieved to set qualifying fees in years past. And I've set it up, if council has a strong opinion, I've set it up for the ads to run for the notice of qualifying fees for a week from Saturday. So if that changes, I just need y'all to let us know so we can make sure that we have the proper amount. Has to be run by February 1.
that's to be decided next week as well, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Building inspection and code enforcement item 1A. Frank, I believe you have a special guest for us tonight?
I do, it's Ringo McCullough, he's with Safe Built, but before I turn it over to him, I just wanted to reiterate a little of the background of why I'm asking, re-asking, is we recently had an inspection by ISO, or their contractor, of our building inspections program. And as far as getting ready for that meeting and getting together the information needed to respond to the questions for the rating, our current building inspector was less than helpful, and to the point where she did not want to have the inspection done at all, which quite simply, while it's a voluntary inspection, what it means on the far end, if we did not do it, was instead of having a building inspection program of basically an ISO rating of 6, it would have dropped us to an ISO rating of a 9 if we refused the inspection, which would have been fine until you guys got your renewal notices for your personal property at home, and nobody would have been happy. So part of the issue was our inspector currently feels that they are simply an inspector and do not represent the city as a building official, which, I'm sorry, that is part of the duties of that. Otherwise, it means one of the existing staff would have to get certified, become a building inspector, building official, and it's sort of over. At that point, why do we need a outside building inspector if we got one inside? And I can tell you, everybody's tasked well enough not to have to go through that training and the time. Like I said, just the basic training, just to get your first residential, I would say probably at least 6 months of experience. Just get through the program, understand what you're looking at, and that doesn't get you the whole suite. So that was my direct concern, is we were having issues getting ready for the inspection, which follows on to the code enforcement position. We've had the discussion. It's currently vacant, which is fine. However, we're starting to get calls about issues in the community. Joey and I talked about one last week dealing with chickens, which surprisingly we got calls this morning about. So there are issues cropping up now where code enforcement. So Ringo's changed positions with Safe Built. So he's dropped from the executive level back to field management and doing field inspections and stuff. But Ringo, from background, just so you understand, is a chief master building official. He was one of the early ones in the state. He actually worked for Dennis Bergen when Dennis Bergen was a commissioner. Ringo, you started as a deputy, moved over into code enforcement, and then building inspections, if I remember correctly.
They hired me on as a building official for White County in 2005.
So he's had experience in both sides of building inspections and code. I think one of the issues that we've had, I've talked to the committee, is not the rates, but the hourly charge, or the minimum number of hours charged. I think you gave them an update.
I have not, no.
You have not, okay. We'll let you talk about that, but I'm asking you to consider, let's make a change, give notice, proper notice, and make a change so that we have one organization doing work for us, both as codes and building inspections. And Ring, I'm gonna turn it over to you, let you talk to them a little bit.
Okay. So I'm Ringo McCollum. I've been with Safe Built for now about 13 years. Prior to that, I was a building official for White County. And Safe Built currently, we're a community development service provider. We provide services of planning and zoning, building inspections, building plan review. In the center of that smaller brochure is a centerfold area of all the services that we do provide, code enforcement being one of them. We currently service the cities of Alto, city of Helen, Stevens County, the city of Livonia. I'm trying to give you some local stuff. We've got about 70 jurisdictions in Georgia that we serve. And yeah, I would love to give you a taste of what we can do on a more professional level. We've been a company around since 1992. We've been in Georgia since the founding cities of Johns Creek and Milton back in 2006, I believe. And I live here locally in White County. We've got a couple of more inspectors that would be provided to you from White County. We also provide next day inspections. As long as we can receive them by 4 p.m., we can catch the inspections the next day. We have very quick turnarounds on our plan reviews because we utilize a broad spectrum of different guys that are trade specific, so they can get those plans turned around in a timely manner. We'll be providing you with a free software that also is community development. That's about a $50,000 free add-on that comes with that if you ever want to use it for business licensing issuance, tracking code enforcement cases, keeping track of plan reviews. It provides live updates to the contractors, the homeowners, with their inspection results. They can also have login to see the status of their plan reviews, where it's at in the process. And I'll open it up for any questions if you have any. Like I say, we pride ourselves on our customer service, and we take that to heart.
I have a couple questions.
Yes, sir.
So, when I look at the contract that we've been given, and I know Frank had made mention about, potential modification to
Yes.
that contract. One of the things that, we have, here is a small city. While we are expecting, some larger developments, planned residential, neighborhoods
Right.
that would warrant, multiple quantities of inspections to be done at a single, point in time. Because I know that your company would have to come out, because you're not, resident here in the community, but you would have to come out as a service to the city, and then start you start the clock on, how many hours you're billing from, when you check in here at the municipality, we give the orders, and then you go out and perform the inspections.
Yes, sir.
And then come back, and then of course, at some point, I know that in the contract here, it talks about when the clock would stop, and of course, there's like a 2-hour minimum, which I understand that, and it takes time to get out here.
Yeah, and we've discussed that. We're gonna cut that back to an hour because we do have local inspectors. That 2-hour minimum is because a lot of times we're not within the vicinity
Right.
of that jurisdiction, and it accounts for some travel time.
Right,
So,
right. Yeah, we just, I know one of the concerns that, got brought up in committee was that a lot of times, we have, our residents here may have a particular project they're trying to work on that might require a permit. They're not building a home, but they're doing like a deck addition or, a small project, room addition, what have you, that, may not require multiple inspections. It might just be 1 or 2 inspections, on different dates, of course. And we would want to avoid a situation where if we have a timeline commitment to, get that inspected, that particular resident might have to incur a greater cost where, I know we're talking about waiving the 2-hour minimum, but if there's only one job up here and we have to get it done in a timely manner, then you might come to inspect just one, and we don't want to charge, our residents a larger fee just because they had to meet a 2-hour minimum on a project that really didn't take that long. Because it might be, this is hypothetical, we might have a resident with, or a situation where maybe 1 item needed to be inspected that week, or 2, outside of a planned residential. So I just wanted to understand how Safe Built, how committed are they to having that relationship with us where we can be flexible in that manner and not really have to penalize our own residents for trying to improve their property with finance
No, we'll
costs
work
of
with
hiring
you, yeah.
guys.
No, we'll work with you in any way we can. We are pretty much an arm of this jurisdiction. We are acting on your behalf, and we are very professional in doing that.
Okay.
So, yeah, we'll work hand in hand with Frank to make sure that all that's taken care of. And I know some jurisdictions, we try to tell the jurisdictions to try to see if they can try to schedule as many inspections on any given day to where you're not billed for that one project per se, but sometimes you just can't do it, especially if it's a project that requires a concrete pour. We want to make sure we get that concrete pour so we're not slowing down the progress of those projects.
Mm-hmm. No, thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yes.
And I did notice, I don't know, I'm sure you guys have like an E&O policy, but
yeah.
I didn't know if there was anything in the, maybe in here and I just didn't see it, but, more of a quality resolution, arbitration, anything like that in your contract. Do you
Yes,
have-
there is.
They have that
Yes.
in there? Okay.
There is.
All right, excellent.
Yep.
Thank you. That's all the questions I have for now.
So on the code enforcement side, you would just be going out investigating the complaints
Yes.
when you come in? You're not gonna be riding around looking for,
Only if Frank
violations.
requests that we take a proactive approach to it. If you want a reactive approach, or we just react to the complaints that are
Right.
called in, or we could set it up to where you want to do 1 or 2 days a week of full proactive service. We can tailor it to your needs however you want to.
yeah, personally, I'm for the reactive, I don't,
Yep. And you're invoiced only for the number of hours that we're here. And we typically invoice the first week of the following month for the number of hours that we've been here.
And what I was looking at was somewhere between 8 and 12 hours. That's, like I said, to be worked out, and also based on the calls that we're starting to get. I did want to make one correction. The last line above staff recommendations, code is charging, our honor code is charging $85 per inspection and $35 for, $135 for re-inspections. Just cross out the 135. They charge 85 for both the inspection and the re-inspection. And that's what what's charged out, okay?
And you'll see there is some cost savings in going with us, because your current vendor is probably charging you by the inspection. If we do 14 inspections within that hour, you're just being billed that 1 hour and not for 14 different inspections. So,
because that's what we're currently being charged per inspection.
Yeah, yes. It's on a per inspection.
But I think, doesn't she only charge us 45 for inspection?
She charges, what we charge the client is different than what she charges us. So there is a difference in there, and we can talk about that in executive session. Any other questions?
Rico, thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I will, just a second, I'll hold up. Deborah's, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Deborah's here from Truth Banks, gonna give us an update. I didn't mean to put you this far down the agenda, I meant to put you at the top. Right.
Everything's good, you know, I mean,
That's our report from the sewer plant, huh?
I'm sorry?
That's our report from the sewer plant, right? Everything's good.
Everything's good at the plant,
That's
yeah.
what-
As good as it can be after storms and such, but it's all good. We don't need anything right now.
You'll probably get some.
Y'all put that in writing, will you? She said.
Right now. We don't need anything right now.
Okay, well, the homestead exemption thing, Frank or Joey probably explain a whole lot better than I can, but as I understand it, the state legislature passed that homestead exemption bill that counties and cities have to opt into or opt out of. Now, explain a little bit better than I can.
You explained it, it's an exemption that would be limit on a homestead, the value increase to the previous year inflation rate. So let's assume that's 3%. Then your homestead property could not increase from the prior year more than 3%. And because of the way Georgia law and Georgia Constitution provides, that difference between the inflation rate and the value increase is deemed an exemption. So that will go into effect unless a local government that has authority to tax opts out before March 1 of this year. And you have to have 3 public hearings if you want to opt out. I'm sure y'all have seen a lot of ads, but in case you have not, I've brought some that have been running in the paper, and that's what these are required, and they're that size. That display ad is even required specifically in the code. I realize we don't currently have an ad valorem property tax in Lula. The reason we're bringing this to you is that if you do not opt out by May 1, I'm sorry, by March 1 of this year,
Yeah.
then you are currently barred forever from opting out of that homestead exemption. So I think so far, the schools, city and county, have given notice that they are gonna have public hearings and reserve the option to opt out, as have Claremont, which I provided you there, Hall County, Gainesville, Oakwood, Flowery Branch, Beaufort, and I believe there was one other, whether it was Rest Haven, or anyway, there was somebody else that you've seen those notices. We brought this to council because we have a duty to bring it to council to say, if you want to proceed with these public hearings about opting out, then we need to start advertising so you can have those public hearings.
If I may add to that a little bit, since we're a community in two counties, as Joey said, the communities in Hall County are opting out, are doing the advertising to opt out. Banks County would like to meet with all the cities in Banks County on Friday at 10 o'clock in the morning. If any of you are available to meet down in Homer with them, please let me know so I can RSVP, but I'll be there. But the feeling I'm getting from down there is they would like to opt in and not opt out, but that creates an issue for us if in the things, if one county opts in and one county opts out, where are we? So it's gonna force us to make a decision one way or the other.
Can we split our decision between counties?
Can you split it from, sure?
Because we got Banks County residents paying property tax, Banks County, got Hall County, so we can actually split.
Well, it would only apply if
The county.
Lula ever imposed a tax.
Right.
So, yes, your city residents would be able to, you would have to follow the decision made by council about whether you opted in or opted out.
Now, explain to me this, if we opt out of this proposal, of this homestead exemption law,
Yes, sir.
what does that mean to the citizens? Does that mean that tax appraisers can raise their property taxes more than 3%?
More than the inflation rate from the prior year, yes, sir.
So they can raise their valuations or the tax itself?
Valuation.
So that's what Hall County did last year and 2 years ago. Basically, Hall County did about 40% 2 years ago, is that correct? Yeah, Hall County raised their valuations.
Right. The tax assessor annually will, you'll get those, and this was a reaction to recent evaluations throughout the state where there were, seemed like it was a minimum 20% increase, and so this applies just to your homestead to limit that increase.
That was something we voted on, right? The citizens
Yes.
voted
Yes.
to have
Yeah,
this
it's
cap,
on the ballot,
right?
it was on the ballot,
Yes.
yeah.
And how counties and other cities are
Opting out of it now.
opting out of what
After voters
was
said do
voted?
it, yeah, voters said do
Well,
it,
the voters voted for this
cap.
exemption,
Right.
but the law always stated that local taxing authorities would have the authority to opt out. I mean, that's not something that was added afterwards, that was always in the act.
In the
That was
actual,
approved.
okay,
That's
The
right.
fine print.
okay.
But
Alright. I was just making sure that I was,
no, that's right.
okay.
It was a
Alright.
referendum because
That's what I was
it
thinking.
has
I
to
voted
do
on that,
with an
right.
amendment to the Constitution, because the Constitution requires that all taxation be uniform, and this would create an exemption that would affect that uniform taxation.
So if we don't opt out, we stay in, we're tied, if we ever did taxes, we would just be tied to 3% or cost
More
of
than-
living.
Inflation rate, that's right, yes, sir. That's exactly, on homestead,
Right.
property only.
But not your car, stuff like that.
Not your car, not on an investment piece of property or a commercial piece, but on your homestead.
This thing's confusing.
So for clarity,
Am I the only one that didn't understand? No.
no, it's taken me a few times now to hear it
Right.
and understand it.
That's what-
And
That's why I was asking questions.
I think Denise had a very good observation there.
The
voter
voters
said-
voted for this.
The voter said, hey, yeah, that's a good idea. We shouldn't, be allowed to be taxed on our homesteads at an incredible inflation rate, should that occur, above a certain amount. Let's cap that to at least safeguard, so that we all don't just get hit with a tax that we had no say in, or we didn't increase any income, but yet you're gonna get taxed as an increase because the value of your home went up. Now, it's interesting that, like Denise had pointed out, the citizens voted for this. But yet, here are the cities and counties that say, well, that's all well and good, and thank you, Joey, for putting out that fictitious number of, let's say it's 3%, it could be 4, it could be 2. But these municipalities and counties that want to opt out say, or, essentially are saying, while everyone wanted a cap, we don't want to honor that cap. We want to be able to increase those taxes to what the inflation rate is, should it be above. Now, they may have good reasons for that, because they're gonna have costs incurred to operate the city or what have you, but does all of the services that the cities and counties provide, does it follow the, inflation rate? And should your valuation of your house be the target for that funding? If we don't opt out, and we don't charge an ad valorem tax, as been stated multiple times, we don't, and I don't think that we anticipate doing so. But should a city should a city who doesn't charge ad valorem tax ever decide that they do need to, then opting out would, of course, allow that city to not honor what the people want. So this is very interesting, and I know where I stand. You know, I'm along with the citizens who voted on the ballot for the cap that was, you know, passed through General Assembly down at the State House. But I just wanted to make sure that, you know, I stated it in a way that hopefully others, if they follow my logic in that, so that they understand what's happening. We don't have a property tax, but we are now required to either opt in or opt out. And if we don't opt out by March 1st, then we lose the right to opt out ever in the future, right, Joey?
Yes.
As long as that law is in effect.
Right, unless that law is amended, that's exactly right.
So I can see why some municipalities have gone ahead and opted out, because they're reserving that opportunity should the need arise. That they need that extra funding above an inflation rate. They're giving themselves the ability to tax you on that. And I find that a very interesting question that people should think about when they vote. Because the people did vote. Anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there. Thank you for allowing me to restate that. Thank you.
That's where I was going with my question. That's why I thought, wait a minute.
We-
Okay,
Yeah, that was on the ballot in November.
right. I think I voted for that.
Okay, Frank wants to put out an RFQ for auditing services, Frank.
Yes, we currently have the RFP out on the street for financial software. It's due later this month, so we can get through any interviews and stuff for the February meeting is the goal. This is for our actual audit services, this one that you have on your handout, item number 10. We've been with the current auditor for approximately 25 years at this time. They are moving forward to close out the 2024 audit, but this would give us an opportunity to review and look at the big picture at other audit firms and see which audit firm to include our current auditor we would like to vote for in the next cycle. Typically, a community works with an audit firm 3 to 5 years before putting an audit out. Putting an RFP out to just a relook, and we're well beyond that at 25 years. So I would ask and request that you consider letting us put out this proposal, which would get proposals back to us March 10th, so we could get some interviews in and make a decision, ideally in the March meeting, but otherwise in the April meeting, so it would be before the July start of the next audit cycle. And I'll answer any questions you have.
That was explained very well. I mean,
What?
that was explained very well. Nobody got any questions? Okay, sidewalk.
The next item is the sidewalks going from the depot down to the parks, and so down Athens Street and down Maiden Lane. This would be an ARPA-funded project, is an ARPA-funded project, let me restate. We want to put the bid out on the street. I think most of you have had an opportunity to look at the drawings, but they're here. It's an 8-foot sidewalk, quality grade as much as possible, and it also goes into the park to connect into the existing trails on the park from the Maiden Lane. It connects down Athens Street to the entrance, the paved entrance to Raffy Banks. It also has a crossover, 2 crossovers, one at Maiden Lane to take the sidewalk down that way, and the second one just past, excuse me, Hemlock Street to get into our recreation park. Fitness, so I'll be glad to answer any questions you have, but all the Rent Engineering is looking for from council is to go ahead to put the RFP out on the street. And there's a 26 weeks from the time we say go 27 weeks to complete.
27 weeks?
Yes, yes. That should be the third page. So the estimated cost is just under 175,000. 42 of that is engineering fees, and the remainder is actual construction fees. And that is within the budget that we did set.
So the 175, you said 175.42?
The 175 is the estimated total cost of the project.
Okay.
42 of that 175 is engineering fees, and the 133,000 is construction cost. Thank you, Deborah.
And do we know the total, I know we said 8 foot, I mean, what's the, I guess the documents would have all that, you know, Rent's gonna make this proposal for these vendors, so they would understand the.
Correct. They will take the profiles, the thickness, and all of that, and that would be part of the RFP.
And I know that in committee it was brought out that this project does include ADA compliant textured ramps, crossings, all of the required components.
Correct.
To make sure that we're compliant city.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Sidewalks,
Continuing on sidewalk note,
not new sidewalks, old sidewalks.
this is looking at our old sidewalks. Georgia Safe Sidewalks is one of the companies that works with GMA. They actually come in and do inspections of our sidewalks. I asked them to look at Main Street, and at Chattahoochee Street, where our sidewalks are, the majority of our sidewalks. We did take a quick run by River Mist, but they felt they were in okay shape, so they just did the Main Street and Chattahoochee Street and the few connections that we have between there. This is actually a fairly short summary, meaning most of the places I've been have been at least 4 or 5 times this long, so, and we don't have a lot of sidewalks. But they found 35 sites that need work and attention from both ADA, mostly from ADA, trip hazards and things like that. So this company does not do grinding. They have some kind of patented process where they level out the sidewalks between to keep the, and that's where they focus their work on. So there's 15 of the 35 sites, 37 sites that they're willing to do the work on. It's a one-day project for them. It would be $1,000. I would recommend that we consider taking that, having those done for the $1,000, and us taking the other 22, and that way putting together a proposal to fix those as we go along to address those issues with the actual concrete company, because they would require taking out sidewalk, putting a new sidewalk in.
It would also require taking out bricks in certain areas, correct?
It would probably require, on certain ones, it would require taking the bricks out and re-leveling them.
Okay.
Yes. And I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Me?
Okay.
I was in the committee meeting.
None of this is broken sidewalk that's going down Athens that we're fixing in the project.
No, this does not look at Athens.
Okay. I was just making sure.
Yeah,
We
no, it's
wasn't
not,
doing redundant
it's
work.
not a duplication.
Okay.
What's funny about that sidewalk on the Fort building on the other side of the road too? That's something else we need to consider when we do that, because there is a broken sidewalk on the far side of Haddon Street.
All right.
And they're cleaning up all of their material.
clean up
Since they're doing
afterwards,
grinding, they're doing
yes.
all the cleanup.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, for Maiden Lane Lift Station?
And let me say I misspoke a minute ago. On the first sidewalk project, I said 175. It's actually about 213. Okay. So what you have, the 175 comes in now. This is the Maiden Lane Lift Station, which is one of the projects we talked about having on the ARPA funds. So the total on this is the 175. So it's 132 and 42, which is 174, 174.6, 174.7. So just short of the $175,000. And it is the 27 weeks lead time. So that's where it's important that we move forward, because this has to be done before December 31st and expended and closed. So I would ask you to consider authorizing rent to move forward and with design and RFP services.
So the request is that we do that tonight, or?
Now, this will be on Monday night's agenda. I just wanted to bring this. So, any other questions on that project? We had talked about that lift station being one of the oldest. It only serves 37 homes, but it physically has to go back uphill to connect into the new line that runs about 20 feet from it, but it's a pressurized line that it can't feed into right now. And Deborah, that was the one was having problems communicating this morning, correct?
Yes.
This weekend. So it's something we do need to look at. And it's also one that needs to be expended before the end of the year.
Okay, now that Frank wants to discuss the proposed changes to the PTO approval.
Yes, I met with the HR committee. We talked about the PTO, which is paid time off for the employees. Currently, the way we earn it, well, we state in the manual that we earn specific number of hours per year depending on length of service. So it's 11 days, 11 days, 2 weeks for new employees up to 2 years. The issue is, instead of earning that, we deduct holidays, we deduct sick leave, we deduct vacation, so you never get to the number that's authorized. And it is causing some issues with our payroll company. Out of the 180 customers they have, we're the only one that does it this way. So what I would ask you to consider and stop by, and I'll be glad to share the numbers of each employee with you, is make it a X number per 40 hours per week, up to not change right now, not changing the number of earned PTO time, but annually, but I could go ahead and accrue it as long as you're working, and it becomes a supervisor discussion issue. Somebody's laying out, not working, and using carrot and stick reprimands in those few cases where it might become an issue. But it's, like I said, I've gone back through September, the last 4 months of the year, and had it manually write for the PAYCO to show where their numbers were still off from ours on several of the employees. So we're trying to simplify and also just be straightforward. If the manual says you're going to earn 11 days per year, that you at least have the possibility of earning 11 days per year and not taken away. I'll answer any questions.
So I'm trying to make sure I understand. So currently, everybody across the board earns 11, or the more time you've been here, you can earn up to 11?
No, the first 2 years you're here, it's 11 days per year.
Okay.
After that, it goes to, I don't have it in my head, I apologize.
I mean, but we earn
But
it
it maxes out at,
5 8 hours per
15
week.
It maxes out at the 15-year part at 4 weeks.
So are we talking about still leaving it so that the person that's been here longer can still earn the more days?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not saying that's, it's
Just trying to make
the,
sure.
it's just the accrue, how we accrue, because,
If they're out sick or they're on vacation, they can accrue.
or it's a holiday.
Yeah.
We don't.
Right now,
They
we're
don't
all
accrue.
accruing holidays.
Okay.
I'm just trying to simplify and get in line with the other communities around us. Like I said, this one's a little unique for us and is just a time-consuming going through, because you have to do additional 3 or 4 steps to come up with the hours. And we tell people you can earn 11 hours or 11 days your first year. You can't. Even if you worked every day, you wouldn't earn during the holidays. So you'd be.
Can lose a year, you lose them.
Even if, could I speak for a moment? Could I ask a question, actually? To anybody? May I speak? Okay. So, could it be possible to just say this one's been here for 1 year and this 1.5 hours, whatever, or points per week adds up to, let's just say this adds up to, 2 weeks. Well then, can we just do the 2 weeks at the beginning of the year? And then if you're here for 5 years, can we just do the 3 weeks at the beginning of the year?
No, Deborah,
Advan-
I'll answer.
Post office calls advanced leave, that's what, post office calls advanced leave.
Yeah, I'll answer that, no, and that's based on experience, because Twiggs County did that. And the 9th and 10th of January, that's when you would have the mass turnover of deputies, because they got all their vacation and sick time and moved on.
Oh.
So, no, that is not the way to do it.
Advanced leave doesn't work real well.
Okay.
So,
Gotcha.
Well, unless what you do, you advance it and accrue it toward that, it's just an advance. Now, that's, so post office is set up that way, so we get advanced leave every
That's-
year, but we have to earn that. It's
Yeah.
got advanced leave, then earned leave, it's 2 different categories.
yeah, so I'm not proposing, all I'm asking is to change how we
Figure it.
figure it, meaning,
So, just for clarity, this is, if in the first 2 years, they're supposed to get 11, and they're here that year, they will have earned 11. And
Yes.
it's
Currently-
not deducted, because I think that's wrong for us to,
Currently,
if they're
it
on
could
holiday,
be-
you don't actually get to accrue your vacation. I
yeah.
think this is a definite correction to our vacation, our paid time off policy.
For some of our employees, it would be down at 8 days, depending, with all the, so it's worth changing.
Yeah, and like was mentioned before, if we have 15-year employees, we don't know the exact
It's a
number
higher
today, but
rate.
it's
Yeah.
almost 4 weeks.
It's,
They're not gonna be penalized because, we now have X number of vacation days, declared, so.
and,
Or not, holidays declared.
and the HR committee did ask me to look at a longer term change, looking at sick leave and PTO and putting those back together. So we will look at that.
We just
But that's not, I know that's one of the things we discussed, so we will look at the impacts of that and we will report back, but this is to address an issue we have right now.
Can I ask one more question? So going back to the holidays, it does affect the paycheck when we use our personal time as well. So like say I only work 20 hours 1 week, but I use my personal time. So it says 40 hours because of my personal time, but they only pay us for 20.
Yeah, this'll correct that.
Okay.
You should accrue even when
Right.
you actually using your pay time off.
Right.
All right.
This'll correct that.
What's happened, our wording, if I remember, our wording says you get so many hours per paycheck based on how many hours you worked,
Yes.
as opposed to how many hours you're employed. There's a difference between working.
Right.
Am I-
So,
That's probably what caused it, yeah.
That's what it's called years ago.
all right. So that's all I had on that. And like I said, I'll bring it forward in next week's agenda for a vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
We already got your department comments, I went ahead and got that out of the way early. Okay, we're gonna have an executive session tonight to discuss personnel, but before we do, I'm gonna have citizens' comments. Anybody else got anything want to say?
Robert Grizzle, 64 in Nevermore Way, Little, Georgia. You know, one on the taxes, I asked that y'all all consider y'all have a homestead exemption too, and do the right thing on that. 2 years ago, it was big news. Jackson County went up incredibly on the taxes over there. My taxes went up over $20,000 above what they already were, which is hard to explain away in any circumstance. But when we went in to pay our taxes this year and saw the new building, we kind of got a reason why our taxes went up so much, which was very elaborate. But two, on the building inspection, now I'm all for building inspection. I was thankful when they started the builders having to have a license, a contractor's license, not a business license. But I think we need to look at more than one company, and there's a reason for that. But I mean, Bureau Veritas, they've been around here for quite a while. They are the inspector for a lot of other small cities, Maysville, Oakwood, different people.
Mr. Grizzle, I'll answer that question. I've worked with both companies, and from a steady stream of having the same inspector over and over again instead of being scattered around the state, Safe Built has their employees in specific areas. You come and go with Bureau Veritas. Both of the Hal's work for me. I like Hal. Their rates are the same. But from an operational standpoint, having the same inspector.
You're talking about the person getting familiar with an inspector, I get it.
Yeah.
Which I work well with a lot of inspectors, and I think they do get to know people's work, and some of them do. Now, my time's gonna run over because of that. You know, the thing is, I'm all for it. You know, there was a time Hall County wanted to come do our inspections. Now, I don't know if with the changing of times, if that's still possible. Why don't Hall County do our inspections? Hall County, Calvin was a great code enforcement guy. He'd come and met with you. If he saw an issue or somebody called him about something, he'd come out and talk with you about it, and usually it got resolved in a very peaceful way. Building inspection, why doesn't Hall County do ours? I get it with having a familiar building inspector. Jamie, I've worked with her in many different cities, and she's always been the same person, never given any leniency to anybody, not to me at least, ways. But then again, we do everything like we're supposed to do it. But I guess one of the things, I know this ain't gonna be popular, sorry. Can't we find somebody else besides somebody out of White County? Why is key positions in our city filled by people from White County? I mean, are we gonna annex into White County soon? Is that Lula gonna annex into White County? I mean, I know I'll beat a dead horse on this, but dad blame. I mean, there's a whole other world out here beside that county that we can pull personnel out of. No. Not mentioning it, but two city managers, both from White County. Don't live in our city.
I can answer that offline too, Mr. Grizzle.
Well, we want to come visit in the afternoon, Frank.
That's fine, you still can.
Nobody can do that. I don't know if anybody can do that.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. Y'all want to get comments out of the way before we go into executive session? Let's do it. Tony?
Sure. Just want to thank everyone for coming out tonight, and those that are watching online. We greatly appreciate your input, and thanks for the phone calls. I mean, we were able to add a few things to the agenda, due to your input. So keep that coming, and appreciate the citizens' comments as well. Keep those coming. All really good stuff. We're starting a new year, and I'm very hopeful for where we're going. I think we've got some good momentum going right now, and we're moving forward on projects that we've talked about a significant amount last year, and we're going to see real things on the ground, sidewalks included, and that's going to be a big thing. And it's just going to make our city more walkable and safer, and it's just good. It feels good to be part of that and making sure that we get that done. And it's not it's a group and a team effort, and it's not just us on council and our staff, but it's also all of our citizens, because a lot of this came originally from you guys. So we need your input. So keep it up. Thank you.
I guess I'm next. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank everybody for coming out, and I'll just echo what Tony said. I'm excited about the sidewalks personally. I've been pushing that from the day I got in here. Joe will tell you. It's took a little bit, but we're there, and I'm excited to see it started. Other than that, I don't really have much to say. Chris?
Thank everybody for coming. Glad that we didn't have any more problems than we did with the snow and the weather, and hope everybody made it fine. And you know, we know we got some had some calls on Athens Street, some potholes, and we're it's been set up the chain, so see if they can get taken care of. Thank everybody.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming, and I'd like to also thank every one of the citizens who showed up for the visitation of Mr. Mordecai and showed up for his funeral. The three boys told me, and I got very well acquainted with them, that the Lula people was extremely nice and the Lula ladies was unreal. So I really appreciate it. I think he had a very nice service. Thank you for coming. You will be missed.
You will very much be missed. Just thank you everybody for coming out, and again, thank you to those who actually were able to show up for either visitation or for the memorial service for Mordecai. I do know that the family is looking forward to, even though he's not with us, celebrating his birthday in March. So thank you all.
We are planning to get together on March 15th, his 100th birthday at Depot. Still got that in the plans. The boys is gonna come back.
Okay, I'm gonna remind everybody about the upcoming meetings. We got holiday next Monday, so our council meeting's gonna move to Tuesday. We don't put that on the agenda, but we're gonna move to Tuesday next week on the 21st. It's on there, the next line down, says, I'm sorry. The Little Ladies went to the 22nd at the Depot for lunch at noon and 6:30 for dinner. Is that correct?
That's correct.
The Lula Belton Historical Society is Monday the 27th at
We're
7.
not the Lula Belton Historical Society. For the Historical Society of Lula Belton, we have to disassociate with that name. I keep reminding y'all.
Is this Belton Lula Historical?
It's the Historical Society of Lula
Lula Belton,
Belton
Georgia.
with double L's, yes.
Okay,
But that is the correct name.
that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah. It's confusing, I know.
Belton with 2 L's.
Yeah, there's a reason for that too.
You just gotta be dyslexic to read it right.
And the Development Authority is Tuesday the 28th at 6 o'clock. Okay, we're gonna go to executive session and discuss some personnel matter, come back, and we'll let you know.
Probably want to add real estate real quick.
Okay. It's on the agenda, I didn't say it out loud. I'll entertain a motion to go to executive session.
I'll make a motion, we go into executive session.
I'll second.
Juliet seconds.
Motion made by Denise, second by Juliet to go to executive session, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
5 minutes, guys.
Sorry, I
Oh, let mama in.
Anybody else
I
outside?
don't judge the distance right now, Chris.
No, I was sitting down.
No, nobody else is
We
outside.
believe in giving you room. Anybody want to-
I was gonna say, I'm sure Devin already left.
Okay, we're back to executive session. We decided on the appointments for next year. We're gonna appoint Frank Etheridge as interim city manager and post the city manager job to replace Dennis. He's our acting city manager now, and we'll be the interim city manager. Candy's gonna be our clerk. Joey's gonna be our attorney. Tony's gonna be our pro tem, and Hammond Law, our judge. I'll entertain a motion to accept these appointments.
I make a motion that we accept the appointments.
I'll second it.
Motion by Denise, second by Juliet to accept appointments. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Okay. I guess we entertain a motion to adjourn now.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Juliet, second by Chris to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Adjourn.